thank you so much, and thank you so much, and giving me this opportunity to participate in this discussion. And it's always been my honor to connect with you all. And unfortunately, we have been trying to connect through Zoom call, but our network is really slow today, and we couldn't connect to you through Zoom. I wish that I could see all the smiley faces, and which could easily, rejuvenates me and gives me inspiration to whatever useful thing that I can do. But we couldn't join through Zoom, and I think right now the phone connection is at least working. So I hope it continues today.
Yeah, no, we're so glad to have the phone. And just as a little description, if you could see us, there's it looks like there's 69 of us on the screen. From morning to evening, we span different parts of the world. Many of us are smiling, and many of us were smiling through the video we just saw, and all different ages and backgrounds. But yeah, we're just here and very grateful that you could join us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So I think what we wanted to do is just have a little dialogue. So I'll just kick it off with a few questions. And then for those who might have questions, they might want to share it later on, you can send it in a chat message to Claudia. And we'll see what we get through I think we have about 30 minutes left, so in our time together. So Lobsang, I just wanted to start a little bit from kind of your influences in your childhood. I know, and we saw a bit about the fact that you experienced a lot of difficult things early on in your life. As a baby, you were kind of abandoned by your young mother and left under a pile of leaves to die. You tried to commit suicide before the age of 7. You didn't get the opportunity to call someone dad or mom. And there are just so many things that you experience at such an early age. And I think from all that, I guess my first question is kind of, what was a formative experience for you within all of that? You also experienced the love of your grandparents, the care of the monks at the monastery that I think in your words, you say they loved you even when I was unlovable. And so I think we all kind of have formative experiences from our childhood, and in our Laddership Pod, we've kind of shared different moments from our journeys. So just to begin, I was wondering if you could share a formative experience from your youth. What was a memory or a pivotal turning point from when you were a child?
Thank you, Odi. Wow. You always ask a very good question and tough question. As I shared many times, I did not had a normal, childhood. And I really don't remember anything positive about my childhood, except all the love, caring, and the kindness I received from my grandparents. And although I was very, very little, I say this often, I was a little kind of a terrorist in my own village, in a very remote village. And when grandparents convinced me to become a monk, and my village celebrated, they were so happy that this little the troublemaker is now going away very far, very far. It's going to the South India at that time. Is 10 days journey by hitchhiking and train. It was 10 days journey, I remember, from this remote village to getting to the South India. And but one of the very vivid moment I still remember today is this continuously, so many times my grandparents, because being very naughty and very unhappy young child, and it was difficult for me to understand why they're sending me so far away. And when they explained that I will not see them, for many years, at least 3 years, they said, after 3 years monastery, they gave a short vacation for us. I thought, why they're sending me so far away? I'm already struggling. And what I remember they keep saying is, a becoming human being or finding a human in yourself. That is a purpose that we are sending you so far away. Hard to understand what that really means at that time. And obviously, even today, I struggle that, being human and just finding that human in every difficult situation. That was something that they keep saying to me. And that no matter what I did at that time, but there was a one unconditional love and kindness from them was, I think, always one thing. I still carry that with me, and I still, when I get mad with my own children now here, that I try to be, my grandparents to them, but not always that I succeed. That is the one thing that I have a very strong memory. And 3 years later or something, when I came back to see them, and one very, I remember crying that when they told me, I realized how much they loved me. So we are being in a remote, we have every utensils, cup and plate, we have a wooden bowl. So I have my own wooden bowl by my grandparents. So they told me, being very naughty, I made few holes in my wooden bowl, and I sealed those holes with a dough. And after a few days, when I left, so my grandparent didn't want to touch that because she can something smell out of that, my wooden bowl. And eventually she was also practicing, letting go. And finally she decided to wash that and give it to somebody else. Then she found that I have made many holes in my wooden bowl. And she said, well, when she saw that, she started crying. And she said, still that you were so naughty, but when I see your naughtiness, and that makes me smile, and that makes me miss you so much. And she said, someday you may become a better human being, or you become, you may not be naughty anymore, but I will always remember you as a naughty little child. So these are something.
This is your grandmother. Your grandmother said that.
Yeah, my grandmother. So, little memories of my
That's
childhood.
So sweet. I think we can all relate to that. So from there, I think from your home and with your grandparents, then you went to the monastery. And at the monastery, in different talks and things, I've learned that you tried to run away, you broke all the rules. You were just 7 years old when you went there, training to be a monk in this very kind of austere environment, religious environment. And but you mentioned there was one monk that just, kind of showed you this unconditional acceptance. And I'm wondering if you could share any kind of moment or experience that you had that taught you something, that stayed with you, or taught you something from that time in the monastery or with those monks.
Yeah, one. There was definitely, acceptance, no matter what. Again, I share this so many times, but it was very amazing to see that there were two, at least in my understanding, two different categories of the monk in the monastery. One who are highly realized or enlightened beings like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and then whole other category, people like me, very naughty and very also disturbed or very sad, and it's always amazing, a mix of monks that we grew up. I grew up with many amazing monks, and but having so much space for us there to grow. One thing the monastery has is unconditional love and very strong structure that was aware that I grew up, and discipline, very disciplined. And one of my experience was I tried to run away so many times, and then after a while, one of my teachers got really tired, and then he said, because every time when I tried to run away, they caught me somewhere in middle of my escape, and they brought me back to the monastery. After a while, my teacher said, now, you're very unsuccessful trying to escape. He said, next time when you want to go, you just tell me, I will help you run away. I'll make you successful escape. So one day, and he offered me money, and he told me how I should go. And he gave me money. Very interesting. He gave me money and said, where you want to go? I said, I want to go back to my grandparents. And he gave me money, and he told me how I should go, so the other monks cannot get me. Then I left, I think, a couple of hours, and then somehow that I felt that, I didn't enjoy that escape, maybe because my teacher was supporting me. It wasn't really a fun escape. And in the middle of my journey, I decided to come back to my monastery. And after that, I never tried to escape from monastery. Anytime I don't really feel anything that I didn't enjoy that escape, and that is what I felt. This is not fun or something. I just want to come back. And teacher's advice was the next day was, sometimes, Lobsang, in order to see a beauty in your life, you have to go a little distance, far away, so you see the beauty of the things you have in your life. And, a very beautiful analogy he gave me was, that's why we cannot see our eyes, because we are so close to our eyes. So you need to go a little far away to see the beauty of monastery, the beauty of people who loves you dearly. And that was, I remember what he told me at that time. And after that, I never escaped, I never tried to escape. Another thing was, I think, watching a romantic movie was very serious punishment. It's kind of serious crime, I should say, something in a monastery. But I loved watching these Bollywood movies, a lot of dance and so on, very exciting. And I got caught, and for I think almost a week, I couldn't actually face my teacher. So also, my teacher has to go through certain process. So the disciplinarian will call my teacher, and what's happening? You're just a young monk student. How come you cannot manage him? So he has to go through a lot of embarrassing moments because of my behaviors. So I couldn't face my teacher for a week. Then he sent me an older monk and he said, I want to see Lobsang. I was very, not scared, but I was so embarrassed. And I was very, very, very embarrassed that I cannot look at him. And then there was so many other monks sitting in his room, was giving a teaching. Then I just went there. And moment when I entered in his room, And he said, you stupid. You don't know, how to break the rules. You don't know how breaking. And immediately everything changed. Everybody laughed. And then I remember he was telling me how I should go and watch a movie. And you're really stupid. You always break the rules, but you always get caught. So those are, I think it's very amazing that he's being my teacher. He a responsible senior monk. He has so much responsibility on his shoulder. At the same time that he's telling me that I should, he's helping me to break the rules. But more than that, you see, is, very skillful, and never he made me feel a guilt or something bad because I was already feeling bad. So something that he taught me in a life, when nobody is happy making a mistake. When people make a mistake, they all feel bad about the mistake. So his job was not to make me feel worse, and how he can help me to come out of that guilt and that feeling, embarrassed feeling, and then inspire me to. So these are something. Eventually he helped me to overcome so many of my challenges. But
That's beautiful. I know you can't see us, but many of us were laughing and nodding our heads and putting up hearts on our Zoom squares. So it's beautiful. Those are beautiful stories. I think I want to skip ahead a little bit. So from your own childhood, growing up with your grandparents and in the monastery, in the video clip we watched at the very end, you're kind of narrating that, you can't get back your one childhood, but now you have 85 at that point in the video, but now you actually have 105 kids. So you now actually have 105 childhoods that you can kind of experience and live. And I'm just wondering, so from the monastery, I know you went to the West, you taught in the US, you trained with the Dalai Lama as well. And then you decided to go back near your home village in the Himalayas to serve the children who had backgrounds in a similar position as yours. And I'm just wondering if maybe you can just give a little window, like when you first opened in 2006, Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community, you had 34 kids. I mean, what was the feeling in your heart in that moment, or, when you began this home for these children?
Yeah, I was, I think, almost 10 years in the United States, and I was teaching there. I always enjoy sharing whatever little thing that I know. But there was a huge emptiness inside me that I always question myself. I can talk compassion, but do I really practice compassion? Do I really translate this compassion into real action to make a real change? So that was something I always missed when I was in the United States. So the coming back to my own village and is much more challenge, much more bigger challenge. I was scared. I was very scared when the moment I decided to come back to this remote village, and I was, small things. I thought I was very scared. I'm not going to get a Starbucks coffee. I'm not going to get Wendy's burger and all these things. Those were something. I thought I'm going to really miss. Small things that I truly enjoy. Of course, so many friends, like my real family. I spent so many years there. And coming back and this was something that, I was looking for a true meaning in my life. And, I struggle a lot, and I'm still struggling, I'm still struggling. But,
aren't we all?
We started with 2006. Yeah, we accept 34 kids. And but these are the children who were abandoned or who nobody wants them. That's just, I call sometimes finding jewels in the dirt, that they were there were jewels in the dirt that nobody wants them, but when we look very closely, that I see deep inside them, there's a jewel, and sometimes this jewel will shine, and they will shine. And with that hope that we started, and every kids when they, it was difficult for me, exactly like I could relate to them, when they said, my grandparents sent me to the monastery, how I was feeling, that exactly, although their life in their village, back in their village was very struggle, and suddenly coming to our community and living with this strange people was not easy for them. But every time when they started to smile, when they started to dream about their life, and those were the moments that I celebrated. I'm still celebrating every time when I see someone is happy, someone is laughing, someone is, smiling. This celebration, every moment is a celebration for me and everybody who is here.
That's beautiful. That when you say that, it sounds so simple, but I know that those of us who watch Tashi and the Monk, and those of us who know a little bit about your journey, know that it's not easy to smile through all the different ups and downs that it must take to kind of continue that community. So the simplicity of a smile has a lot of depth to it. The simplicity of your smile maybe has a lot of depth to it. I think kind of building off of that, one thing I was struck by, you had mentioned that you don't fire staff when they do something wrong. So you have about 105 children in the community, you have 45 or so staff that kind of serve the different elements of the community, teachers, cooks, administrators, different support. And you mentioned in our home, in our community, we don't fire staff if they do something wrong, just like you don't fire children if they've done something wrong. You have to find a way to kind of hold the gentleness and, come together. And so I was just thinking that in many ways, many of us are inspired by how Jhamtse Gatsal is such a shining example of a way of that compassion can kind of regenerate and help heal. And I was wondering, one of the topics we've explored in this Laddership Pod is around scale. I mean, I think one of the questions was, how would you scale compassion, literally? And so I'm just curious from your lens, because there's such a depth in your relationships with each of the children. I mean, literally, you take them in and you say, it's not just for a few months, it's for life. I promise to each child I will be their parent. So to promise 105 kids that you'll be their dad for life is kind of a tall order. So in thinking about Jhamtse Gatsal, to what extent has the community kind of grown organically? And to what extent have you intentionally kind of implemented designs or structures to foster values? If that makes sense. Like how much was kind of organic and natural, and how much was like you really had to design and structure it?
Yeah, it's one thing is that my own life, I think, when I made so many mistakes, and the sending me out of the monastery was never the option that my teacher had, and and that is one thing that I truly still believe. And sometimes it's hard. And again, honestly, I say that, my respect to my teacher is to follow that everything that he taught me and everything he has given to me. This is respect very hard to actually pay to my teacher in the form of gratitude. In a Buddhist tradition, we have a tradition of making offering to our teachers and Buddha and our gurus. One of the best offering is, doing what he has taught to us and repaying kindness what he has given to me. And I struggle a lot. I struggle a lot. So in a simple language, I talk about to our teachers is, kids are supposed to make a mistake and are supposed to make a mistake. But when they make a mistake in their life, and then we punish them, or sometimes we fire them, or in a life when they make a mistake, we give them punishment or anything. But when we make a mistake in a math, for example, but do we fire them out from the math? No, we will give them another practice. Say, why don't you solve this one? And until they get the right answer, we keep giving them the math problems. And then finally, they will solve that math problems. So the challenges in our life, but we don't apply that similar approach or similar pedagogy to the real life problem. When they make a for example, if they steal, if they lie, or if they punch somebody, we do not teach our kids to solve that problem by giving them more challenge. And we label them, you're bad, you're horrible, and this is done, you're 3 times, and you now no more acceptable in my class, or we do this. So here, this is one thing that we try to do with the kids is more than a math problem, or more than a science problem, that we focus on how we can help them to solve the real life problem. And one way of doing is to giving them an opportunity no matter what. So the challenge in now, we are 16 years old, Jhamtse. I don't fire them, or we don't fire them, but eventually kids fire me as a dad. So it seems like somebody has to fire at the end of the day. So I got fired many times, but I still don't fire anybody. I don't know with the better term of firing them, or remove them from the community. But somebody has to go through that. It's very interesting. You asked this question. Just a week before, I had a discussion with the older kids who were in college. So I told them, since Jhamtse Gatsal will never remove you or never expel you from Jhamtse Gatsal, now, you guys can remove Jhamtse Gatsal from your life. You guys can expel me from your life. So I said, this is what's happening, when you grew up. I don't know what we see is. I don't think that is a solution. If like in a normal family, what we do when kids make a mistake, do we kick out of our family? We don't. Whenever kids make a mistake, mom and dad and aunt and uncle and grandparents, we gather together and we discuss how we should help. But in the communities, in the schools, in the institution, we don't do that. We don't do that. So in many ways, it's not something that we invented these things. So we are basically learning from the families, great parents, the great grandparents, and great families how they do. But at the end of the day, these children will go out to the world, and then we are not solving the problems. We are just taking away from our area and actually adding to it to somebody else or somewhere else. And I think our education has to think little long term. Institutions or communities or child care centers. People often think about the convenience for the administration or management, and not really thinking our convenience can create a big inconvenience to the greater world. And if each family or if each institution keep doing that, and then where these children will end up at the end of the day. So I don't know. This is something I have been thinking a lot.
Yeah. kind of short-term efficiency and long-term resiliency. Thank you, Lobsang. I'm looking at the clock. I know it looks like we have about 5 minutes left, but if it's possible, if you have space to maybe stay 10, 15 minutes extra, it might be nice to get a chance for a few others to share questions.
Sure, Ravi, sure. Sure.
Okay, I know, thank
Please.
you. But we would like to open it up. If you have any questions for Lobsang, you could raise your hand to ask, and try to keep it brief-ish so that more people can ask questions, perhaps. And to raise your hand, just click on the reactions button in the bottom bar and hit the raise hand button from there. So we can go to Bharati.
Namaste. Thank you. I'll just pose my question, and apologies if it doesn't make sense. My question is that when compassion follows grief, is actually grief transmuting into compassion, or it gives birth to compassion and both coexist? What actually happens?
Yeah, I think it's very, no, this is a wonderful question. Can you repeat it again? Because I have a little problem of hearing.
I'll do that, Bharati, just to simplify it a little bit. Lobsang, this is Nipun. I hope you're doing well. How do you connect grief and how do you connect grief and compassion?
Wow, thank you, Nipun. See, our pain, our grief could be one of our greatest resources. Could be our greatest resources. I think the difference is how we look at. Our grief can destroy us, or our grief can really make us stronger, and grief can be the main factor of our growth, and we can grow much stronger. Always being a young monk, whenever I go to spend time personally with my teacher, he used to say, Lobsang, you are filled with resources. You are the one of the luckiest young monk, because you have the most needed resources in your life. Our grief and our pain can be our greatest resources. When we reflect on our grief and pain, not victimize us, not using that in a negative sense, which can destroy us, if we can reflect, the remedy to our pain and grief can find within a grief and pain. It exists in a pain itself. If we can reflect and meditate on that. And from there, through our understanding of our grief and our pain, we can transform that into understand and generate empathy and beyond compassion to other people if we know that. So there is a huge connection in that. How we use that. And so much of my challenge is that when I see somebody struggling, and sometimes I understand them much better if I revisit to my past where I was struggling, and some of the very difficult behaviors of children, or even my staff, I see some maybe unacceptable behaviors when I see them, and when I get confused, and when I see that I'm getting agitated, disturbed. And if at that moment, if I can deliberately or consciously, put myself in their shoes and connect with my past, the past Lobsang, the gone Lobsang, I could understand them much better. In that moment, my own anger or disturbance actually automatically goes away. And then I can connect with them, and then I become more helpful to support them. Through my pain, I can connect them. I can understand them. I can go beyond their obvious behaviors. I can go beyond their behaviors, and I can see the emotions and feeling beyond their immediate behavior or the external behavior. I think there is a very strong connection. But you have to see whether this is true or not. This is my limited understanding.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I think Sister Elizabeth has a question she'd like to ask.
Yes, hi, thank you so much. This has been such a rich sharing. I had a question about the smallness. One of the comments I heard was the idea of trying to keep the numbers low. And I would imagine, as you've been talking about behavior and taking time to be able to address issues and also be able to help the students, help the children, and help the staff make those adjustments, that smallness would be an intimacy that would be created. And I'm just wondering if that is what happens, because I would imagine more just dissipates and the smallness helps to make more intimate the relationship that you're trying to create. So I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yes, that is one of the reasons because you see the background of our children, where they're coming from, very much similar to my background. And in this remote village, we don't have the special services like therapy, psychiatrists, or everything that you have available in the cities or in the West. And even those things exist, if they exist here, we do not have resources to really get this support. So one thing that we try to do is the relationship, the connection, the relationship of love and compassion can heal everything. So in this small community, we are teaching everybody to become their own therapy instead of going to somewhere else, which we don't have an option. So sometimes not having the best possibility can be a blessing to us. So we all have to become number one, our own therapy. And then we have to teach each other to be our own therapy, not rely on somebody else to come and fix our problem. So in order to do that, the physical and emotional connection and attention to each other every day becomes one of the most important thing for us. Not just for our thriving, but even for our survival of our community and every individual who live in this community. So we cannot, grow into big ties. So that is one of the main reasons. And often, I think 5 years ago, I allowed the first therapist to visit in our community. I never allowed before that any therapist to visit our community. Don't misunderstand me, because when I was in the United States, being so many the people come to my course, and they have a genuine concern about me. Lobsang, you're starting this community, and your children are coming from really, difficult background, coming from trauma, abuse, and everything. And you will need the specialist. You will need very specialist to support you. Otherwise, your community will not sustain. And one thing that I always remember was in the monastery also, we don't have, I don't know, these certified therapists or certified professionals to help the young troubled monk like me. One of the magic in a monastery was a relationship, that always having somebody there for you that you know. Love can be the most powerful healing. Relationship can be most powerful healing, and that is something that I wanted to happen in Jhamtse Gatsal. And now we have so many visitors, and I hear often in schools the word bullying. The bullying is a foreign concept in our community. When I talk about bullying, what's happening in schools, and everybody gets really confused, and they say, what is bullying here? And this is at least what I'm saying is working for us. So you're right, there are so many reasons why we have to keep this community in a small size. But this is one of the main reasons. And another reasons, of course, the financial and other resources also they are the factor. But this is one of the reasons.
Wow, that's amazing. That they don't know what bullying is. I think. Thank you, Lobsang. No, we're coming to the end of our time, so I think we'll go to Claudia to ask our final question, and we'll close from there.
Hello. For me, it's a real honor I cannot believe I'm talking to you. I watched the documentary when it came out, and I was so moved. I also never used the word dad, actually. And then my mother died when I was still quite young. So in a way, I felt orphaned very young. And then watching the work you do and giving these children this opportunity to call you dad and being a dad for them is so inspiring. And when I watched the documentary, I was so moved that you wanted to keep it so in a number that of course you can manage. And I was always wondering, how do you find the courage? Because of course it's important that you have the number of children that is appropriate. So how do you find the courage in yourself and the love in yourself to say other children and other grandparents, sorry, I cannot take your children? No, I mean, I find to do that, it's a decision that requires so much compassion and love. And how do you manage this? I mean, every day, because I know there are so many children kind of on a waiting list, and I really would like to hear you. Where do you gather this huge amount of love and compassion to say, this is what I can do, and I cannot go beyond that? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And there are so many, I think there are so many factors. One of the factors is I really am trying to speak from my heart and connecting people like you all. I'm a very grateful Nipun, all your team, Laddership Pod, service space, meeting wonderful people through these channels and these platforms are truly inspiring. Even tonight, that I'm already rejuvenated, I'm already recharged by all your love, your support. And I don't know I have anything useful to say, but I just very grateful even having this stage to share my frustration and my challenges. And I'm grateful that you guys have a courage to listen this all crap that I'm maybe sharing with you guys. And this is the one thing that it always helped me to connect with people, listen to them, and share my own frustration with the people. And as I said, one thing that whenever our children when they make a mistake, and I always see myself in them.
Oh, did we just lose Lobsang? I think he might have just cut out.
That's kind of like a very poetic ending. I see myself in them. I mean, what a perfect way. You can't script this stuff, right? This is it.
It's true. Yeah.
Maybe we could, he might come back, but maybe we could play a clip. I know we have a couple of bootleg clips of his. I think he's coming back.
Yeah, let's see. Lobsang, are you back?
Sorry, everybody.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
I don't want to be a disservice to my teachers, my monastery holiness, because of them that they were able to give me opportunity to find human in me. And I think when our children make a mistake, I always see so far, it's kind of a joke, but true, so far nobody was able to break my record of naughtiness, which gives me so much hope. So
we're all laughing right now, if you could see us.
Every time the Amalas, house mothers and teachers, when they come to and share the challenges of some behaviors of children, say, don't lose hope, they are still not able to break my record when I was in their age. I said, we have a lot of hope, so keep working harder. So they were fine. And truly that I think that way. I think that way. Another, when we think bigger picture, I think we all can understand today in 21st century that we think our human civilization is maybe in a top stage where education people are so civilized, but the humans are still fighting and killing each other. We have a moral responsibility. We do have a big moral responsibility, which we have to implement it deliberately, not passively. I think myself, there was so many moments in my life I could turn into very bad terrorists, that I could do the same things the terrorists are doing. Pick up the guns and I could easily shoot. There was so many moments that I can recall when I my childhood. The difference between a terrorist and me is I see, because I am just been so lucky that I ended up in a monastery, and there were people, they were training me to become the warrior of compassion, the love warrior, not the hate warrior, the warrior of the hate. But so many young children like me at that time, unfortunately, they were not born terrorists or they were not born killer, but they fall into bad situation, and those people train them to destroy, kill themselves and kill so many people and destroy. You know, by nature we are no difference, but the only circumstances made us very different people. So I see troubling kids who is, you're right, it's not easy. You know, you don't ever know when you get up, open eyes, what's going to happen in a community. It keeps you busy 24/7 because of the children's situation. But we have a big moral responsibility. If we wish this world little more peaceful, better, and safer for everybody else, then we cannot just pray and talk. Every individual has to work harder, consciously, deliberately, to create world more peaceful. So in my contribution, I look at them and I look at my children, I said, I will work so hard, I will never get discouraged, and I will make you the warrior of compassion, the warrior of love, not warrior of hate, not warrior of, bitterness, violence. So there is a bigger purpose, what I do every day. And those gives me real courage. Even myself as a one single individual have a lot of problems still, but my bigger purpose gives me hope and courage even in a most difficult time. And I think that is helping me to carry on what I'm doing in a very modest way, very small way. But this is best I could do in my capacity.
Oh, Lobsang, thank you so much. If you could see us, there's many hearts lighting up the Zoom squares, and many of us just feeling very grateful for who you are and how much it shines through your words. Even if we can't see you, we can really feel the depth of that intention in your being. So thank you. We have one final little question. I think Davina and many of us have been feeling, which is just a lot of us are just wondering, how can we be of service to you? How can we support you?
Now, Audrey, you're giving me fundraising opportunity. I didn't expect, but this is a very difficult question. I really don't know how to answer this. But yeah, there's so many ways of, I think, supporting. One is, what you guys are doing, what you are doing wherever you are is truly what I am trying to do in my small way, in my limited capacity, make our world a little more better, more peaceful, and more compassionate, safer for everybody. And already you have been given me so many opportunities to participate and join with you, which is, I think, the true contribution that you are already making. And now in a directly kind of the helping to the Jhamtse Gatsal children's community is, in whatever way that you can contribute. I think best way of doing is maybe sponsoring children or supporting in their education. So maybe I will check with my team, and maybe through Audrey I could just, share the details of how people can and contribute and support. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for your willingness and support. And I wish you all well, and thank you so much. I hope I didn't waste your time. I hope I have said something maybe useful to all.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I wish you could see us. Maybe I'll send you a screenshot of all our faces right now. We're really moved.
That would be great, Audrey. Thank you.
Yeah, we just feel so honored for the chance to connect with you from all over the world to this. It's like having a fireside chat in the remote Himalayas with you. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today and making it work to be with us. And thank you to everybody for holding space together in this way for such conversations to unfold, and holding the intention, I think, in each of our hearts to be of some service in some small way, to be that love warrior in some small way. We wanted to close with just a song that kind of expresses how we all feel. And then from that, we'll just do a minute of silence after the song. So thank you all so much. And yes, we can play the song.
I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I walk the path with you. Go slow, dear one, don't hurry. I'll go just like you need to go. There is no need to worry, 'cause I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love.
Just do a minute of silence. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Maybe we can all unmute ourselves to
Maybe we can
do.
all also wave and take a screenshot for Lobsang.
Yeah,
So everybody
yeah.
turn your video on and wave. Did somebody take a screenshot?
Thank you so much.
Lobsang, we will
Thank you
send
so
you this
much.
photo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, we can
Thank
all
you.
unmute and just
Thank you.
say
Thank you.
gratitude.
Thank you so much.
Heaven blessings for the
Thank
model,
you.
for your service, for the love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just love.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
We're almost as chaotic as his classrooms. Oh, I love it. Lobsang, what a joy to have you on the call. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night. Good morning.
Good day. Bye,
See you
everybody.
later.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Nobody wants to leave.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.